Hi guys, hope you're well, and today is the music edition of the Sophie Awards, looking back on the best of 2015. Bit worried that this is going to be about 5 hours long because when I'm passionate about something I talk loads, but I'll try and keep it as brief as possible. But hopefully if you're music fans you won't mind if it's a bit of a long rambly video. So first up, best newbies to the scene. Now when I say newbies, these are just ones that kind of exploded a bit more this year. That's not necessarily brand new bands, because as you know, those overnight successes usually aren't overnight successes. They've usually been touring for years or playing club gigs or just trying their best to break through. So it's almost more of kind of a breakthrough award. I've chosen Neck Deep. Now obviously they've had a really eventful year for good and bad reasons, but let's concentrate on the positives, and it's undeniable they've become a proper part of the alt scene. They've secured some really impressive support slots, obviously playing with Bring Me the Horizon at the end of the year. Their songs have a quality about them that makes them sound like classic pop punk, like in years to come. I think they're fit in seamlessly with other things like Newfound Glory, etc. So well done to them. And obviously they're from the UK, which is a lovely bonus. Nothing But Thieves are another band, and although they kind of do delve into the Kerrang kind of world, they're also Radio 1 favourites and kind of slightly more commercial. Their songs have been used on trailers for TV shows and things like that, and adverts, so they've obviously got a certain commercial appeal. Really lovely chaps. I think they're in America at the moment, or have just been in America, and I'm sure they're going to do really well there as well. Another one is Moose Blood, who are personal favourites because they're such lovely people, so incredibly humble and just so appreciative of what they're doing and what they've got. They were a huge success at Warped Tour this year. It helped spread their name around further, and I played a lot of the festivals, and it's a top quality album they put out. Really mature sound, I think, for such a new band, and I'm really excited to see what happens for them. For my best interviewee of the year, I got to speak to some lovely people this year. It's too many to name, and obviously I always enjoy catching up with Liam of Cancer Bats because he's just such a joy to be around. But because it was so difficult to secure this interview, I'm going to have to give it to Frank Iero. I've been trying to sit down with him for a while, but the person that looked after his PR before kept cancelling on me, I guess because I'm not quite important or big enough really to be talking to an ex-My Chemical Romance musician. But the new PR, who I've worked with before, allowed me some time with Frank at Reading Festival, and he was a joy. Considering how big he is and how much he's done, he was incredibly down to earth and very endearing, and I hope I get to sit down with him again for a more lengthy chat. After being in such an iconic band, it's great to see someone have the guts to kind of change their position in a band and front a new kind of outfit and do well doing so. So my legend in his lifetime, and I'm so happy they've done well, award goes to Frank Carter. I've interviewed Frank Carter over the years quite a few times in various musical guises. He became an icon for the scene through his work with Gallows. Not purely just because of the music, because of his attitude. He was so authentic and he wasn't scared to say exactly what he thought. Obviously his look is also quite iconic. He's just got it all, and obviously he's willing to take risks and try different musical avenues, and he did so with Pure Love. He's also always been renowned for his live performance. Like, he gives 110%. I know that's not a thing, but he literally gives everything he's got. Doesn't care if he gets sweaty, messy, there's no vanity involved. It's just going for it, making sure he and the crowd have the best collaborative experience ever. More often than not, you'll see, you know, wheelchairs, crowd surfing, and all sorts of objects crowd surfing. He'll run round, he'll be in the crowd, you know, it's an incredible live experience. With Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, he finally seems to be getting the critical acclaim and just the overall acclaim he deserves so much. The material is so honest, at times brutal, very exposing, but it's still got the grit that you always want from Frank Carter. And you should also know that he's an incredible artist. Not only is he a great tattoo artist, he also does paintings and other sort of artwork too, and that was displayed actually in the space where he did the gig that I went to this year. So you got to see all aspects of his creative flair, I guess. So Frank Carter, so happy for you. What a great year you've had. You're a dad too. My award for mixing and melding genres. Now, in the last couple of years, it's become more accepted that bands can experiment a bit more and kind of merge sounds together, sounds that you wouldn't have normally heard put together. You know, sometimes rock audiences can be a bit rigid and they want you to stay at the sound you've always been, and they don't necessarily want you to evolve and experiment. But in my eyes, I think it's great when bands just do what they want to. Then you know the music they're making is authentic and what they want to make, and they're not just appeasing you and making what they think you want to hear, which would then kind of negate the whole creative process for me. You're hearing a lot more dance, R&B, hip hop, trap, all sorts of elements mixed with rock these days. And I guess the two that come to mind that are doing that are 21 Pilots and Issues. So you have won my award for willing to do a bit of this. Best single of the year is a hugely tricky one, because I have to admit to you, I'm more of a single person than an album. I tend to listen to songs over and over again rather than full albums, but that's a very personal thing. Bring Me obviously put out banger after banger in terms of single from their album That's the Spirit, and it's very hard for me to pick one. In fact, my favourite song probably wasn't a single. I absolutely loved Avalanche on the album. That was my standout track, but Doomed also an absolute tune. Young Guns also put out a few singles. I Want Out is my pick purely for personal reasons, because before that album came out, Ones and Zeros, I lived with a lot of those tracks for a couple of years in various forms, from just simple melody ideas to then the demo stages to then being produced and stuff. My relationship with those songs is a little different, so when they came out as singles, they weren't like fresh new songs to me. I'd lived with them, and I remember when I first heard I Want Out, I thought that's a huge song that has huge potential and should definitely be a single. When I hear it now, I still think what a great song. And in my opinion should have been a lot bigger than it was, because it's just one of those perfect melodic rock songs, but rising up in terms of the riffage and the bass line, and it's just, ooh, it's a bit grimy and I like it. More pop and commercial wise, undeniably Hotline Bling was going to be looked back on for years to come. It's already got kind of iconic legendary status, in part because of just the song itself, but mostly, dare I say it, because of the video. Not just the colours and the girls dancing and writhing with their lovely curvaceous bodies, but it was Drake's dancing, and you can't watch that video without smiling or wanting to imitate the song. It's just fabulous. If we're going down a really poppy route, I don't really believe in guilty pleasures, because I think everyone should just go with their instinct. If they feel like they like something, you like something, and you should not be ashamed of it, unless it's illegal, obviously. And I have to admit that I think Little Mix's Black Magic is one of the greatest pop songs of the last few years. It's got kind of that very 80s production feel to it. I don't know, it's just so uplifting, euphoric, happy. You can't help but go a bit like that. So there you go. Next is the Banger of the Year award, and that's that big euphoric dance or club song. As I always tell you, although I generally live in the rock world, I like all sorts of music, and I've actually been on clubbing holidays in Ibiza, I think 3 times, and in the right environment I think this music, you know, does its thing. Although I won't listen to it just like for pleasure at home, because I think it only works in particular settings, I still have appreciation for it. And my song of the year is Eric Prydz opus. Now it's about, I think, something like 8 minutes long, and it's kind of an epic build up, and it leaves you hanging when it gets to that drop, and you're like waiting for it, and then and you get that sense of gorgeous release when it relief and release when it finally happens. So if you don't mind the old club banger, check that out now. Right, the song that drove me insane this year award goes to Macklemore and Ryan Lewis's Downtown. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad song, they're great at what they do, but it's a song that once it's in my head, it doesn't leave, and actually you find me in a period of time where it is lodged firmly in my noggin, and it's been, I'd say, a few weeks now, and every few minutes I just find myself going downtown, downtown, in that, you know, that bit, you know the bit I'm getting to, and then it goes downtown. So it's not very attractive either when I do it, and it's just driving me insane. So catchy though, you know what you're doing, don't you guys? You knew that would happen.